Before the sun crosses the horizon, Amara's day has already begun. Her first task isn't breakfast, it's a walk. A long, dusty walk to find firewood. It's a ritual repeated by millions of women across Sub-Saharan Africa. A ritual that steals their time, their health, and their potential. But today, we're going to watch the ritual come to an end. Meet Amara. She lives in rural Tanzania. Every morning, she spent over 2 hours gathering firewood. For Amara, firewood isn't just fuel. It's a hidden tax on her life. A tax that steals over 500 hours a year. That's 10 hours every single week. Hours that she could have spent growing vegetables, starting a small business, or simply resting. And when she lights the fire, the smoke fills her home. Her daughter, Liliana, breathed in toxic equivalent of burning hundreds of cigarettes a day. This isn't a statistics. For Amara, it's a daily struggle. While other regions progress, only 21% of Sub-Saharan Africa has access to clean cooking. The cost is staggering. Globally, household air pollution cleans up to 4 million lives prematurely each year, with over 450,000 being children under 5. In Sub-Saharan Africa alone, the IEA estimates this silent killer takes over 815,000 lives annually, a toll even greater than malaria. And the damage doesn't stop at the health. To feed these fires, Africa loses 1.3 million hectares of forest each year, releasing black carbons and accelerating climate change. Amara isn't lacking will. She is trapped in a cycle where poverty fuels pollution, and pollution fuels poverty. But just on the horizon, there's a spark. What if Amara could cook a meal in 15 minutes without choking on smoke? What if fuel was portable, clean, and cut climate emission in half? It already exists. Liquefied petroleum gas, LPG. It burns clean, cooks fast, and doesn't require a power grid. The International Energy Agency identified LPG as the most practical and scalable bridge fuel. It's expected that LPG will account for 63% of the new cleaning cooking access globally due to its affordability, lower infrastructure requirements, and ease of transport. Switching to LPG could avert 4.7 million premature deaths and save a rainforest size of Ecuador by 2040, and reduce net annual greenhouse gas emission by around 540 million tons of CO2. For Amara, the technology isn't the issue, it's a price tag. Amara knows LPG is better, but the starter kit, a stove, cylinder, regulator costs about $75. That's 2 full weeks of her income. Firewood is free for the taking. LPG asks for cash today for a benefit that comes over time. For a family living day to day, the math doesn't add up. Nearly 2/3 of Sub-Saharan Africans will need to spend more than 10% of their income to adopt clean cooking. This is the affordability trap. It is the first barrier to progress. But the affordability trap isn't just a household problem, it's a market problem. To reach universal access, Africa needed $37 billion in investment by 2040 for ports, storage, bottling, and delivery networks. The IEA also noticed that 50% of LPG demands in the region is imported, requiring additional storage, improved port infrastructure, and specialized vehicles. private distributor look at remote villages and see high risk and thin margin. They build in cities and skip the rural area. Left alone, the market won't solve this. But when we combine smart policies or smart finance, the math changes.
African nations have secured $900 million in new funding to expand.
The good news? Governments are stepping up. Kenya launched National Cooking Transition Strategy in 2022, setting an ambitious goal: universal access to clean cooking by 2028. The strategy identifies supply gaps and affordability as key challenges. The government has outlined support for including removing VAT on LPG and explore financing instruments, including private sector investments, microfinancing, international grant, and result-based finance. Overall, the strategy envisions half of the Kenyan household using LPG by 2050.
Unable to afford a restaurant-grade gas cooker, which retails between $300 and $2,400, she is forced to rely on charcoal to prepare food.
Tanzania followed in 2024, launching its National Clean Cooking Strategy 2024 to 2034, with a target of 80% clean cooking access by 2034. The strategy highlights fiscal and financing measures, tax reduction on energy and appliances, support from financial institutions to provide low-interest loans, and implement pay-G systems in every region. Both countries recognize that policy alone is not enough, but it creates an enabling environment for finance to flow. This is where the microfinance changes the household equation. Instead of paying $75 today, Amara takes a small loan. She pays back $5 a week, manageable, and suddenly the upfront barrier disappears. This is proven.
You see, today I feel so well in health. When I come back from the farm, I have
the Bottled Gas for Better Life program in Cameroon and Kenya financed the LPG starter kits for low-income households, including stoves, fuel cylinders, and regulators.
President William Ruto and an undisclosed investor will soon launch a second LPG terminal. He further stated that the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy is working with a third investor.
Across both countries, 776 households participated. The results were remarkable. 94% of the household repay their loans within 5 cycles or less. An actual fuel switch followed. Primary LPG jumped from 4% at baseline to 79% after the loan period, while the wood use declined from 75% to 19%. Amara doesn't need a handout. She needs a small hands up to make the leap. Owning a stove is half of the story. What about refills? LPG cylinders are expensive to fill all at once. That's where pay-as-you-go LPG fits. PayGo allows households to buy gas in small units rather than paying upfront for a full cylinder refill. In Rwanda, a box PayG LPG pilot was launched in the capital in 2019. Customers pay an initial deposit and then purge measured amount of gas through a smart meter system. With PayG, Amara buys gas in small amount using her mobile phone, exactly how she buys chocos. Amara doesn't need a charity, she needs cash flow flexibility. She manages her own budget day to day, and PayG designed to match that rhythm. Here's what the data showed. 90% of the users said they would recommend PayG LPG. It offers flexibility, exactly what Amara needs to manage her daily budget. But here's the honest part. Only 32% of survey users consider PayG LPG affordable. Fuel stacking also persists. Choco accounted for 21% of the cooking event. Why? Because households don't switch overnight. They hedge their bet. They use LPG when they can afford it, and Choco when they can't. This matters because environmental and health benefit of LPG depends on actual displacement of biomass, not just access to clean stove. If a household continues to use charcoal because pay-G LPG remains expensive or service is uncertain, then the expected health and emission benefit are only partially realized. Flexible payment isn't the whole answer. It has to be paired with pricing that actually competes. And it highlights a larger point. Household payment innovation alone isn't enough. This is where the paper's core argument becomes clear. Microfinance and pay-G help individual households switch to LPG. But scaling clean cooking access across Sub-Saharan Africa requires much larger investment in storage, distribution networks, working capital, and risk-sharing mechanisms. That's why blended finance and result-based financing are critical. Not because they replace private capital, but because they help mobilize private investment at scale needed to reach millions of households. The evidence is already clear here. The Modern Cooking Facility for Africa (MCFA) uses result-based financing, providing partial upfront capital while keeping remaining funding conditional on verified delivery. As of 2025, MCFA has committed over 34 million euros in funding, supported 22 companies, and reached more than 178,000 people. Similarly, the Cook Fund in Tanzania has served over 413,000 households, supporting almost 1.94 million people, along with 961 businesses and 45 public institutions. These programs prove that blended and result-based financing works.
A significant part of it comes from public sources in terms of concessional funding, which will in turn unlock significant amount of private.
And then, the magic happens. The smoke is gone. Liliana stopped coughing. Amat's clothes didn't smell of burning wood. The time she used to spend searching for wood, she now uses it to grow her small vegetable stand or a clothing shop. She earns extra income. She repays her loan early. She saves for a second cylinder. She isn't just surviving anymore. She's thriving. But look closely at Lena. The cough is gone. Her eyes are clear. Instead of inhaling toxic equivalent of 400 cigarettes a day, she breathes clean air for the first time in her life. Her small lungs are no longer under attack. Pneumonia, the leading killer of children under 5 in Sub-Saharan Africa, is no longer a daily threat. She has time to read, time to study, time to truly dream of becoming that doctor she always imagined. She isn't just a child surviving in a smoky kitchen anymore. She is a child with a bright future, breathing freely and learning fiercely. Ama's story proves that household barriers are solvable.
At this very meeting, accounts $2.2 billion.
This is the new reality within our reach. A world where a mother doesn't have to poison her children to feed them. A world where a little girl can dream about becoming a doctor because she isn't collecting wood. The fuel exists. The technology exists. The household financing model works. And the blended finance mechanism already proven. What's missing is to fund them at speed and scale. For DFIs, impact investors, and private sectors, clean cooking is not just an environmental problem. It is a finance problem at every level. Funding the infrastructure, de-risking the supply chain, scale what works. Amara has done her part. Let's provide the spark.